So let's help these guys build something here. I spent $300 to come to this event. I'm a college student. I'm here to see Garyvee. I leave here highly motivated, and then I come down to earth and I'm like, how am I supposed to make my first $100,000 from here? Do you have any ideas of like easy startup, low cost things that people can start?
Nope. And I'll tell you why. Because the second you allow the word easy to come into your head in building something, it's game over, right? I see all these kids and they're like, Gary, this is so hard. I'm like, do you understand that you're asking for a 1% life in being an entrepreneur that stands on her or his own feet? It is $630,000 or so right now of earnings in America, the richest country in the world. $630,000 a year in annual income that puts you in the 1% of the richest country in the world. And we've got kids walking around that if they make $1 million, they think they're a loser. Everything's out of whack, my guy. Do I think there's anything easy about standing on your own 2 feet and paying for everything and having all that pressure on your chest in perpetuity? No, I do not. Do I think there are many unlimited opportunities? Yes, I do. Do I think they require a level of patience? Notice how I jumped in with the Jets thing. The second you want something fast is the second I'll show you something that's vulnerable. A relationship, a business, a platform. Speed is the enemy to so many right now. People hear me pitching patience on my social constantly and they get all mad because they interpret it as complacency. There's a reason there's 2 different words in the English language. One is patience and one is complacency. They are not the same. I took this hat on, I put this hat on to give some love, but backstage, there we go. Backstage, I had a hat. Backstage, I had a hat that I was wearing today, and it says ambitious. I'm 48 years old, I've accomplished a lot of things professionally and personally. I'm hungry as hell right now. The fire I have in my stomach, it's crazy. It comes from coming from the dirt. For those that you don't know, I was born in the USSR. I was literally born in the most opposite place of my DNA. I'm a purebred entrepreneur. I had no tolerance for school in the 80s when it was requirement. I was an immigrant, every Russian immigrant that came over from the Soviet Union and all my Indian immigrant friends and Asian immigrant friends and Caribbean, it was all education, all the time. And I was getting D's and F's. Do you know how hard it is to get D's and F's in school? I've come to learn it's really hard. Like even people that do nothing get C's, I got D's and F's. But that was because I was 100% pot committed to who I was. When I was in class as a 10-year-old, I couldn't listen to Saturn and Neptune because that wasn't me. I had self-awareness as a child, luck of the draw DNA, remarkable parenting. I just was there, and that is my answer to the question you just had. How do I think the people in this room leave here and get their first 100,000? The only answer is self-awareness. Let me explain what I mean by that. Too many people want to be like. Too many people just saw that Skittles pitting and see this man swag and they want to be him. I get it. I want to be him. He's cool as shit. But if you were not born with that talent and you were not putting in that 10,000 hours to put in that talent, it's unlikely that you are going to be a remarkably successful commercial artist within 12 months. It doesn't work that way. This is why I love sports so much. Sports, you can't hide. You can hide in education. You can hide in government. You can hide in corporations. There are 2 places that are very hard to hide. Sports is impossible because we watch the game and there's an outcome. And the next closest thing is business and entrepreneurship. You can fake it a little bit. You can sell your company underwater and say you exited, but really you didn't. You know, you can play, but merit matters. And the way that so many people here, my friend, will get there is that they know who they are. The number 7 at Facebook made a lot more money than the number 1 of most businesses ever created. And that number 7 had the self-awareness to say they're not a number 1. Sometimes you have entrepreneurial tendencies. You're not a purebred entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is lonely. Yeah. Entrepreneurship is hard.
How do you stay motivated in the journey when people don't believe in their vision?
Pretty damn easy. If you're an athlete on the field, how the hell are you listening to people in the stands eating popcorn booing you? I have no tolerance for friends and family members who have opinions from the sidelines. I appreciate it. Often it's well-intended, but they're not playing. What does their opinion of my ability to make a little tool for hair or an agency or sell it? It's irrelevant.
You know, I'm gonna point out a superstar here who's an alumni of Palm Beach State, and we had dinner the other day, and that's exactly what he said, and it really resonated with me. Alexio, stand up. My Shark Tank brother.
It's completely irrational. Why on earth would you factor in people's hot takes on your journey? You should listen. You never want to be delusional, right? But the concept of how you deal, you have no choice. The number one reason so many people struggle with happiness in life is they put someone else's opinion over their own feelings. It's very real, bro. It's like, and this goes way deeper than entrepreneurship. Like, listen, I'm the byproduct of parents that are very polar opposites. And I got to see it up close and personal. And I was fortunate enough to know my dad's mom, who was incredibly cynical and negative. And very honestly, when I tell this group, most people do not understand what the USSR was from 1917 to 1991. It was not like China or Iran is now. It was like North Korea. You were not allowed to even leave the country. It was jail. People died in their 50s. You know why Russians drink vodka? They wanted to die. It was an incredibly negative place. And so I have no judgment on my family tree. It was very hard. But I also had a mother who lost her mother at 5. Her father went to jail when she was 10 for 10 years on some dumb shit, what they did in the Soviet Union. And she is the most optimistic, happy person on earth and instilled that in me. In life and in entrepreneurship and in corporate and in nonprofit and in education, in the world, you find what you're looking for. If you decide to sit here today and be cynical and pessimistic about the world and everything that's going on, I have good news, you can find it. However, here's the part that I don't think people believe. If you are optimistic and hopeful and seek joy, you can find unlimited. People have a very, very, very poor understanding of the world and history. People tell me all the time, obviously we all know what's going on, there's so much going on, right? I'm in many dinner tables like all of you are, and they're like, it's never been worse. I'm like, you sure about that? And so we are incredibly delusional about that, and so I choose optimism because I believe it. If we were sitting in this room the week after the atomic bomb was invented, in the late 40s, early 50s, and sitting around, and then you told me 7, 10 other countries would have it pretty quickly, I would have never sat there and thought 80 years later it would have never been used. That would have seemed completely illogical. I believe it's an indication of the human spirit. Of course we have conflict, of course there's things. And the world is very good about trying to make us not like each other, my man. Yeah. As if we didn't get into a place in the world, as if it wasn't enough that we struggle with each other around race and gender and religion, now they're trying to pump negativity between generations. They're trying to teach Gen Z to hate the boomers. I love when they're like, you guys fucked up the world. I'm like, do you know anything about the boomers' grandparents?
Well, let's do it.
I want to stay on this, if I may. If I may, because this is very important. Please, my friends, from the oldest to the youngest in this room, please don't let them teach you to hate each other. Please. There's no reason. And so, yeah, I mean, back to entrepreneurship, to bring it down a level, if you lack optimism, you have no shot. And entrepreneurship is half delusional, half optimism, and someone who, entrepreneurship is losing constantly with an occasional win. And I think the biggest reason that we will struggle with entrepreneurship in the next generation is back to grit. We have demonized losing. The reason I stick on 8th place trophies is we are teaching kids that losing is bad. You show me a 6-year-old that loses this weekend, in a baseball game and starts crying, and I'll show you a winner. And every parent that goes up to that kid and says it doesn't matter, it's just a game, should be punched in the face.